Brodie, it's great to meet you. I'd love to begin our conversation with, 4 years ago, we were wrapping our heads around this global pandemic. How did you
Yeah.
survive it, and how did it change you?
So are we going right now? Are
Oh
we
yeah,
are
yeah.
just
I,
kind of
I come
introing
from
it?
I come from jazz radio, so I dive in. I'll,
Yeah.
I'll start. I'll start over again, so it's not,
No, for sure. I
yeah.
just yeah.
So first and foremost, Brodie, thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
I'll definitely appreciate you having me on.
Yes, sir. So before we get into your life and your story, I want to know 4 years ago we were wrapping our heads around this global pandemic. How did you survive that time period, and how did it change you?
So I mean, it changed everything in my life. I remember when it hit. I had just traveled a few times that week. I came back from Mexico. I flew up to Northern California, and it just started kind of compounding. I didn't know if it was serious or not, and it turned out to be, I mean, in my mind, completely overblown. I sold everything and moved to Mexico. So I had a good life set up in San Diego. I had a nice condo, vehicles. I was finishing my doctorate at Pacific College. And basically, I couldn't go to school anymore because I wouldn't wear a mask. I wouldn't get vaccinated. I would refuse to get locked inside. I refused to have my daughter deal with it. I sold everything and moved to Mexico. So I was an intern at the hospital. Couldn't finish that as far as even my daughter's mom ended up passing away during that time, unrelated. I mean, we couldn't have a funeral. We couldn't do, we had to say goodbye on Zoom. I mean, it was a pretty horrible time and how everyone handled it and just from, basically left the country and just everything around it. It was, it was pretty intense and, it just, the inhumanity of it was pretty bad in my mind.
Yeah,
So,
it certainly was. So now being
yeah.
on the other side of it in 2024 here, if you were in front of a bunch of third graders for career day and one of the kids said, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How would you answer that child?
I mean, for a third grader, I would probably first start off with I was a professional fighter for most of my adult life. So I would start off with that and then kind of branch out more than anything because they would think that's the coolest part of
Yeah.
what I did. It would grab their attention and respect from that, and then I could kind of branch out to some of the other things. So.
So let's peel back the layers. I guess first and foremost, when you were in the third grade, what was your dream? What did you want to be when you grew up?
So when I was a little kid, I actually wanted to grow up to be a hunter. So that was that's what I wanted to do. I don't think it was necessarily a profession, but third graders don't really realize that. So I wore my camouflage every day and couldn't wait to get home and grab my 22 or my pellet gun and kind of go in the woods and do what I could do and wait till the weekends to go hunting with my uncle or my dad. And that's yeah. When you asked me when I was a kid, that's what I wanted to be. I mean, probably professional athlete as well. At that time, it would have been more probably baseball or basketball. Definitely, I don't think, wasn't tall enough for basketball. Baseball, kind of, I don't know. I stopped playing that around eighth grade or something, but yeah, maybe that at that time. So.
Yeah. So let's go back to the beginnings of your life. Where were you born and raised, and how did you get to this point where you were a fighter and you're in healthcare? How did all these seeds get planted in you?
So I was born in a small town where I'm at now, kind of up in Northern California. It's called Grass Valley, um, bordering Nevada City. So they're kind of one and the same. And I was born there. I was super into sports as a kid, kind of branched off into music, also more getting in trouble, kind of being a shithead teenager. Ended up logging with my uncle for some years, realized I probably didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. Ended up going back to school, got super into working out, fitness, nutrition. And when I got back to California, I got a little bit sick of just lifting weights. I wanted to learn how to box. From there wasn't any boxing gyms. So luckily I found a spot that had some sambo guys, some judo guys, wrestlers, kickboxers. And the first day I went, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is my thing. Ended up moving to San Diego for better training. I did that for about 15 years. I had 46 professional fights. Um, and and then after that, when the pandemic hit, I moved to Mexico. We were supposed to move. We were leaving Mexico to go to Morocco. Um, the pandemic there was a resurgence. Our flights got canceled. My daughter needed to go to school. We ended up kind of back in my hometown, and yeah, that's where we're at right now.
So who's been kind of a hero? Who's been fuel for you in your life, an inspiration?
Um, a hero. I wish I could say I had more heroes. I think I kind of took what not to do from people more than what to do, which
Yeah.
is in hindsight, I wish I learned a little bit better from other people's mistakes, or just and guidance as well with that. But I really kind of I think I had to make my own mistakes in my own way, and definitely some people stuck out on what not to do. But as far as heroes and stuff, I really didn't have a ton of them. I mean, I've always read a lot and taken stuff from the books that I've read and biographies and stuff, but I can't say that I had some really strong influence in my life as far as in that regard.
So if you can meet one person alive right now on the planet that you find fascinating and spend some time with them, who would it be?
It's a good question. Right now, I find fascinating. Um, I'm trying to think who I would. I really don't know, man. That's
Okay.
I should, yeah, I should know
That
that, but off the top of my head, I don't know, man.
that's an answer in itself.
Maybe Elon Musk. I'm not
Okay.
sure. He's
Okay.
pretty interesting, and yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was the first tattoo you ever got?
So the first one was a spider web on my chest when I was 15.
Okay.
So it was yeah, it was some guy that got out of prison. That was tattooing out of the back of his like mom's house in this little shed. Actually got two tattoos the first week. He obviously wasn't super legit. And just, hey, how old are you? It's like I told him I was 18. He said, cool. And I got the one on my chest, and then I got the one on my shoulder like 7 days later.
Nice.
So yeah, so that's where he started.
That was the beginning. So let me ask you this: as a world traveler, what's one place you've been to that was kind of enchanting or magical that you just didn't expect was going to be like that?
That I didn't expect. So I mean, Phuket, Thailand has been just a place that I fell in love with that I've always returned. That I mean, I've probably got 15 to 20 passport stamps going back and forth to Thailand. Anytime that I go there and I think maybe I want to go somewhere else, I'm like, man, but I know I can just go back there. I think Puerto Escondido in Mexico, where we ended up living for a long time and have visited. I expected it to be nice, but I didn't expect the level of it. And it kind of is a combo to me of a couple spots that are my favorites. So Phuket, Thailand, and Florianopolis, Brazil. Um, and it's got a weird combination of like you just kind of wear board shorts, the food's good, the life's slow, you ride around a motorcycle, the training's good, everything's just it slows down, and yeah, it's just a beautiful place with a lot of amazing people, and yeah, probably Porto Escondido that kind of blew me away as far as expectations. It was a lot better than I thought. So.
So you obviously are highly driven, very curious. You've done a lot with your life. What is consistently your fuel and motivation to get up every day, to do what you do, to do your work, and to excel in what you do?
I think it's just more discipline because a lot of days I don't necessarily want to do things. I would say discipline, also just realizing how short life can be and how fast it can go, and just don't waste that time. Plus, I mean, I've got my daughter as well. The only person that's here for her. I mean, we've got family and stuff that are good with her, but as far as an example and stuff, I try and be the best that I can for her. And just to show her to just do as much as you can. And she obviously learned early that it's short and anything could happen. And yeah, just try and make the best out of each day more than anything.
So the one thing that's key about our lives is the influences people have and the advice we get. What's the best advice you've ever gotten?
I mean, the best advice would say or anything. It just even going back about motivation not being that important. You really can't wait for the motivation. I've had plenty of times in my life where oh, I'm gonna get motivated and do this. You just have to go like yeah, fuck the motivate. You can't do it. Like you can't wait for it. You just need to keep the discipline and really just go whatever you want to do. You just have to get up and do it every day. I think Jocko Willink actually is a person that kind of shifted my mindset with discipline, with reading his books. Just in the way that I always kind of thought that freedom was doing what you wanted, and I've always been kind of good at kind of doing my thing and being motivated or in that way, but it just you actually have more, freedom. Discipline equals freedom, as he likes to say, and it's yeah, that's been a huge influence on me for sure.
So as a fighter, what was your favorite victory? What was there one match that stands out that was like ethereal, just something that was off the charts?
I think, yeah, I've talked about this a couple times recently with people. There was an early fight where I fought an Olympic judoka, and he was supposed to beat me. He was undefeated, kind of the promotion and how he showed up. He was kind of rude, and ended up beating him very fast and decisively. And it just showed me that I was able to compete at a high level. So at the time, I think I was 21, and I believe he was 38, and so he was fully in the, he was a longtime competitor, seasoned, strong. He knew what he was doing, and it had been in around high level competition. And when you start, even though I had a lot of fights before that, you don't know kind of how far you can go. And so that one stood out. It was the first time I was licensed in Arizona as a professional athlete there in that state. And it just kind of cemented that I could compete against high level guys. And just because, especially in the beginning with MMA, you don't know who you're going to get. But to be an Olympian is a big deal, especially in wrestling and judo and stuff. So just a high level, very seasoned, undefeated athlete. It was a good confidence booster for me for sure.
It almost sounds like the age gap between Logan Paul and Mike Tyson. Who do you think's going to win that fight?
I honestly think that Jake Paul could beat him pretty easy, and it's really sad. I don't even want to see it. Hopefully, I don't know. I mean, Mike Tyson is Mike Tyson, but he's 58 years old, and I don't want to see him. So a lot of guys, they don't realize that, and I was always amazed, even in the beginning when I started training and fighting, you would see the older guys, and they can still hit the bag just as hard, if not harder.
Yeah.
The movements and everything, but their durability goes, and just the speed and the movement. And Mike Tyson, at the end of his career, if you remember, he didn't want to be in there. He was kind of over fighting. He just, you could tell in his interviews and so he didn't want to be there. And Jake Paul is super young, strong, good kid. A lot of people talk shit, but he's good. He's very good. He's well trained. He's strong. I don't think it's a win for him in any way. Like if he loses to him, he lost to a 58-year-old guy. If he beats him, he just looks like a dick. He's not. He's a legend. He's one of the best. I think he's probably the best heavyweight ever, but he's almost 60 years old, and he
Yeah.
really shouldn't be in there fighting a young kid. Hopefully it's just some kind of spectacle that they're just trying to get eyes, and maybe they'll just spar a little bit or something. But yeah, I don't really like that fight, to be honest.
Yeah. I get it.
So
So of all of the things that you've done in your life, there's so many things that you've done and evolved into. What are you the proudest of?
relationship with my youngest daughter for sure. It's been extremely hard over these last years. And just being able to know that I really have done everything right with her to the best of my ability. And when I had her, I was 30 years old. I was kind of getting away from fighting. It just really kind of, just made sure that I was there 100%. Our relationship was strong. So when her mom passed away, the transition wasn't as hard, as far as just having me around, and then just the travel, being together, and just really investing and having such a strong relationship with her for sure.
So Brody, at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think that's kind of the duality of life and of people. I mean, someone might look at me and say, "Oh, he's the nicest, most generous, kind guy that I know," and then someone else is going to be like, "No, he's a savage killer," or whatever, and like both of them can be true. It just depends on the situation, who you are, how we are, what needs to be done. So I think it's very much depends on who is saying it, what the situation is, and why it would be kind of that way.
So let's say we get off this call, time machine pulls up in front of your house. You can either go back in time and see one event in human history, or you can go in the future and see what's going on. Where are you going to go?
I'd probably want to go the future. I
Yeah.
think I'd probably be more curious. Yeah, I'd probably be more curious about that. So, yeah.
So if anyone wants to reach out, learn more about you, anything about your world, what's the good business? Where can they go?
So right now, just social media would be the best.
Okay.
Don't have a website or anything going yet, but Brodie_Farber on Instagram is probably where I'm most active these days. And yeah, I see that'd be the best for now. So,
Right on. Brodie, thanks, man. Thanks for your story. I appreciate it.
all right, thank you, man.
Best of luck. Take care.